Being 7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bosbus.
Here.
Commissioner Baker.
Here.
Commissioner Collins.
Here.
Commissioner Gary.
Here.
Commissioner Miller. Commissioner Talentino.
Here.
Commissioner Twardy.
Here.
Okay, Commissioner Miller should be here any second, I would guess. Let's go. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thanks. Thank you. I would ask those with cell phones, if you'd please put them on vibrate or turn them off, we would appreciate it. Also tonight, I'd like to introduce our city manager, Brian Chapman. Brian is just completing his first week in the city, and this is his first commission meeting. So we are having a welcoming reception, and I would like the Deputy City Manager, Troyer, to explain that.
So as the commission knows, the Monday following the local election, which is Monday, November 11th, the city holds a special organizational meeting where the new commission is sworn in and the actions of that meeting are taken. But prior to that meeting, we'll be holding a public open house from 2 to 4. It'll be an opportunity for the public to come and thank Mayor Bosbus for his service to the community. It'll be an opportunity for the public to thank the outgoing commission and the incoming commission, and it will also be an opportunity for them to meet our new city manager. So it'll be on Monday, November 11th from 2 to 4 here at City Hall in the lobby.
Okay, thank you very much. And again, that's November the 11th from 2 to 4. We do an official welcome to the new city manager, so welcome. Okay, with that, there are no general announcements. We have a Friends of Bayless proclamation that Jeannie Wellington is here as the president of the Friends of Bayless, and I'd like to present her with a proclamation. Okay. If this is the City of Sault Ste. Marie National Friends of Library Week proclamation. I don't think I have to be right on it, but. Whereas the Friends of Bayless Public Library raise money that enables our library to move from good to great, providing the resources for additional programming, much-needed equipment, support for children's summer reading, and special events throughout the year. And whereas the work of the Friends highlights on an ongoing basis the fact that our library is the cornerstone of the community, providing opportunities for all to engage in the joy of lifelong learning and connect with thoughts and the ideas of others from ages past to the present. And whereas the Friends understand the critical importance of well-funded libraries and advocate to ensure that our library gets the resources it needs to provide a wide variety of services to all ages, including access to print and electronic materials, along with expert assistance in research, readers advisory, and children's services. And whereas the Friends gifts of their time and commitment to the library sets an example for all in how volunteerism leads to positive civic engagement and the betterment of our community. Now therefore be resolved that I, Anthony G. Bosbus, Mayor, do hereby proclaim October 20th to the 26th, 2019, as Friends of Libraries Week in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and urge everyone to join the Friends of the Bayless Public Library and thank them for all they do to make our library and community a so much better place. And witness everyone here to set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Sault Ste. Marie to be affixed this 21st day of October 2019. Anthony G. Bosbus, Mayor. Jeannie?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Bosbus and members of the City Commission, for the proclamation. We appreciate your bringing to the attention of the community the fact that we do have a local Friends of the Library group. We have been around since 1990, and in the 29 years since then, we have donated over $85,000 worth of programming and supplies to the library. In this past year, we gave over $9,000 worth of donated money for the bathroom renovations, children's room supplies, the summer reading program, DVDs, audiobooks, tote bags, cookbooks, a new canopy, a new water fountain, Book Pages magazine, and several authors programs. We accomplish all of this through our fundraising, which is primarily our 3 book sales during the year. And you can imagine, we sell our books at 50 cents a piece or 3 for $1. So it takes a lot of books to raise this kind of money. We also have our silent auction, which actually begins tomorrow and runs till November 2nd. We have a Valentine sweet sale, and we have 2 new ventures, what we call Bayless Brew and Browse, which is a coffee bar, and our ongoing book sale in the library. Right now, our membership is at about 155 members. It costs $10 a year to join the Friends of Bayless, and we welcome all new members. We do thank you for this opportunity to bring awareness to the community of the Friends of Bayless Library and what we can do to advocate for and assist the library. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jeannie, and certainly a very worthy organization, and nominal fee of $10. It's just a great organization, does a lot of good in the community, so. Okay. At this time, item number C is the public comment. Any person may reserve time on the agenda to speak to an agenda item. Is there anyone in the audience like to speak on an agenda item? Yes, sir. If you'd like to identify yourself, when we get to that item, you'll be given an opportunity.
My name is Brant Evans from Lake Superior State University. Do you need a specific item?
Item number?
F1.
What was it? Okay. What was it?
Yeah.
Adjudications. Oh, okay, yeah. Right, Evans. Okay. Item D is the consent agenda. Deputy City Manager.
Under the consent agenda, 1, approval of the City Commission meeting minutes of October 7th.
Is there ability for more people?
Oh, I'm sorry. Another?
Could more people comment for an open?
Oh, sure, I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm Alistair Gubin-Pether. I'm also a student over at Lake State. I'd also like to comment on F1.
Okay.
That's an agenda item. As well as Fred Carr, cannabis chemistry major of Dallas.
Okay. Anyone else?
I also want to comment on that one too. My name is Charles Osborne.
Charles Osborne.
East Easter Day Avenue. over there.
Okay. Anyone else? Sorry. Okay. Moving on to, again, to item C in the public comment. Item D, the consent agenda.
Item 1 under the consent agenda is approval of the City Commission meeting minutes of October 7th, 2019. Item 2, acceptance of the Airport Advisory Board meeting minutes of September 12th, 2019. Item 3, acceptance of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority meeting minutes of September 10th, 2019. Item 4, acceptance of the Economic Development Corporation meeting minutes of September 10th, 2019. Item 5, acceptance of the Tax Increment Authority Unit 3 meeting minutes of September 10th, 2019. Item 6 is appointment of Seth Harris to the Zoning Board of Appeals to fill the balance of a term to expire June 1, 2022. Item 7 is approval of a resolution to exempt the city from the provisions of Public Act 152 of 2011. Item 8 is approval of the Salmon Runway relocation street width. Item 9 is approval of change order number 2 with Norris Construction for DPW Complex Salt Storage Building. And item 10 is approval of the consent agenda items as presented.
Okay, thank you. Is there a commissioner would like something further explained on the consent agenda? Let's go to Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, I apologize for my tardiness this evening. And Mr. Chapman, welcome. Motion to approve consent agenda.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Baspis?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item E, special orders of business. 1, downtown access and placemaking project, public hearing on confirmation of special assessment role and role approval.
Okay, thank you. City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For council consideration tonight, there are 2 action items. One would be a public hearing regarding the special assessments, and the second would be approving the resolutions for the special assessments. The special assessments are part of the funding mechanism for the downtown access and placemaking grant. Staff has notified the residents along the properties who will be affected for the special assessment. As I stated, we'll look for a public hearing tonight and approval of the resolutions.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll hold a public hearing on the project. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to comment on the project at this time? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. City Commission. You have a question?
I do have a question
Okay.
for the city attorney. I totally forgot. So I'm the board chair for Community Action Agency, who is placed on the Oka Street, who is going to be receiving one of the assessments. I'm wondering if I should be abstaining from discussion.
As a member of the board of a corporation who will be assessed, you should abstain.
Okay, thank you. So we may have to, do we have to pull that one out, or are we going to do it all in one lump sum?
Let's see, that would be the Oka Street? That's
Yep.
5.
That would be the one she's required to abstain on. She must vote on the others.
Okay, okay. Let's go to Commissioner Baker.
I move to adopt a resolution confirming special assessment roles ST-01-19, ST-02-19, ST-03-19, ST-04-19.
Okay.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. That's the first 4. Any questions? I understand all the property owners were notified. There's been some public hearings. And at this point, roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Baspis?
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you. Commissioner Talentino, the last motion. Yes.
Okay.
Baker, I should say.
Make a motion to adopt the resolution confirming special assessment role for ST-05-19.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Okay, again, this is a $5 million roughly grant with property owners paying a portion of the funds for the, what do they call it, forgot the word. Yeah, and it's a great, it's going to be great for the community. We have parking lots that are in really horrible condition, so that these will be resurfacing them and then rebuilding the road nearby. So it's really a great community effort. So thank those property owners. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino?
Yes.
Mayor Baspis?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item F, communications. 1, from Commissioner Baker, consideration of planning and zoning analysis for marijuana grow operations, marijuana transportation, and marijuana testing facilities.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Baker.
I wanted to bring this before the commission today. As we all know, Marquette has opted in, and as this is nothing to do with opting in, this is just about researching the groundwork that we will need to do if we do decide to opt in. So I would just like to refer it back to the planning department to discuss zoning, where we would put it, whether it would even fit well here within the community, and get some analysis done from that, from our administration, so we can make an informative decision when it comes time to, which by the sounds of it will be May, when the state has their stuff together. I think it's important, as our city did vote for it. I also think it is important because I think that this industry could be an industry that would fit well in the Sioux. I think that it would create not only hourly jobs, but high-paying salaried jobs. I also think it would help with lowering our water rates by usage going up. The testing facilities with Lake State in their chemistry program, we could potentially have 100% job placement for Lake State graduates. So I really think it is our duty as a commission and as a city administration to look into this further and start laying the groundwork for when we are ready to do so, so then we're not riding the coattails of Marquette and we're on the ball and we're doing our due diligence for our constituents.
Okay. Let's go to the community members that wanted to speak, and then we'll go to the rest of the commission. It was, what you tell the folks that want to speak?
I think it was Brant, is it Brant?
Yeah.
Carr, or Brant Evans?
Yes.
Did you come to the,
Right here. Just speak into the microphone.
if you'd identify yourself again, Brant, we'd appreciate it.
Sure, I'll probably tell you some information you don't want to know, but here I go. My name is Brant Evans. I am a 44-year-old man. I've moved to the Sioux as a registered nurse, of all things. So I brought those skills to your community, and I'm currently working full-time. But what I'm actually actively pursuing is a degree in cannabis chemistry. For a number of reasons. I moved up from Bay City, who has an emerging cannabis market. I can only imagine some of the tax revenue and things that are going on there. I just see the development along the riverfront and things that are happening there. So money aside, I've chosen to give up a 24-year career to pursue this because I believe in it that much. Not only do I believe in the potential, again, for monetary reasons, but I believe there's healing and medicinal properties in this plant. I think, I hate to use the word reject it, but to see this community not accept it, I think would be again, I hate to use the word mistake because it sounds like a judgment, but a mistake I will use. I've been here about 3 months and loved every minute of it, quite frankly, looking to buy a home here, and I would love, as I graduate, to stay in the Sioux and make it maybe my second home, or first home in Bay City, my second home. But that opportunity would be gone by the wayside had the community not embraced this emerging market and embrace the development that's coming, like it or not. Again, to be strong and aggressive, I'm sorry, but it's coming, and I'd like to see the community embrace that and develop something where us graduates can stay and contribute to the community, and not only on a tax and financial basis, but on an educational basis too. There's a lot of education needs to be done, and we as Lake State students are willing to cooperate with the community to help do that. So I guess that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Next, I believe we have Brent Carr.
That was Brian Carr. I'm Alistair.
You want to go next, Alistair?
If you identify yourself too.
Okay, so my name is Alistair Goodbout-Pether. I am a homeowner in Sault Ste. Marie. I am a third-year college student at Lake Superior State. I am studying cannabis business and entrepreneurship and minoring in psychology. And I'm here to just basically make my voice heard and let you know that there's, as a campus, there's kind of this, I don't know, this progressive idea, this movement that this cannabis industry could work, and it could work in Sault Ste. Marie. And there's a lot of, like Brent said, a lot of healing that the plant can bring to a lot of people. Both of my parents suffering from cancer and using the plant medicinally, I've seen a lot of it firsthand. And I see places like Marquette opting in and being, aggressive and progressive and wanting to be the first, the vanguards in this industry and being the leaders and making serious progress. But I don't see that same push from Sault Ste. Marie. And as somebody who loves this place and was drawn to the college, but also the area and everything about the city, it would really hurt to have to relocate and leave the Sioux just because there's no job offerings or abilities for me to flourish professionally. Even though I think this market is poised to do some really big things that could help a lot of people, a lot of opioid addiction could be mitigated. A lot of revenue could go to help schools and roads and things of that such. So, especially with the cannabis chemistry major right there, a testing facility like Commissioner Baker said would be an incredible idea. That's guaranteed job placement for people graduating from the Sioux that would go right back into the Sioux. Those are high-paying salary jobs. Those aren't, low-paying jobs. These people will buy houses. These people will be productive members of the local economy. That's what this city needs, in my opinion. So I guess that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mhm, thank you.
Next is it Brent?
I am Fred Carr. I'm a cannabis chemistry major up at LSSU. I've lived here for about the last 4 or 5 years. I'm from Baltimore. My family's from around here. I'm a local tribal member. And quite frankly, I really don't want to leave the Sioux. It's my home now. I like the small town, but come my graduation with my chemistry degree, if there is nothing to hold me, to keep me here for a job, to raise a family, to start something, I'll be forced to leave, which I do not want to do. I do think that with the low property prices here in the Sioux and the UP, business owners can capitalize on it. Downstate, I've personally gone to conventions put on by medical legal groups, not high times, 420, let's go get high and smoke. I'm strictly about the educational and the medical preference of the plant. I do not condone illegal use, but I do think that if we opt in, or we at least start the legwork so that when we're ready, we can at least compete with Marquette and not be left in the wayside, as Commissioner Baker said. I do think it is imperative that we start this now and not in 4 years, because I'll be gone by then. There will be 3 classes gone by then, you know what I mean? That's 120 students coming out of this degree that could have put into Sault Ste. Marie and not going to Bay City. We just had 3 large companies from Bay City and Traverse City come up to LSSU for a career fair. And those are jobs that are being pulled away from Sault Ste. Marie and going straight down there to their market. And we can compete. We can do it. We have the resources to do it. We just have to capitalize on it. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Charles Osborne, and I am a resident of Sault Ste. Marie, just recently moved here this June, but had a home here for over a year now. Since I lived here, I wasn't supportive of supportive for marijuana as a recreational drug, but the people in Michigan wanted it, so there's nothing stopping them happening. So why does the student need to be the one behind the ties? This is the time to bring in the jobs, and if we can go ahead and bring this to be in a profitable area for marijuana, especially for medical marijuana, which I agree with everybody that we need it, because I know what it's like. I won't use it. I refuse to use it personally if it's got to be smoked or digested, but I would like to find research into it and use it for that. We do need jobs here in the Sioux. I've seen more businesses and more places going up for sale every day since I've lived here, and it's sad. It's starting to show me that people are worried about if there's any future here. You guys are stagnant here, and it's sad because it reminds me of the city of Detroit that was in where its bubble busted, and right now you guys are only counting on things like certain businesses and certain things to keep it going. Well, it can't just live on that. You need industries. If this is a start, this could be a hope, especially when the university up here specializes in it. My son is going in there technology, but he won't be able to find jobs here in the future either because there's nothing up here. Unless we start luring companies up here and bringing jobs to the area, it will stay the same. You will always be in a recession. You'll never merge out of that bubble. This is the chance the city could break that bubble. I believe that this research and stuff could help not only people that needed help, but if marijuana is going to be a profitable business where people are going to just get high and it's going to make them happy, we must at least be the people that bring in the jobs here to keep people here. And also, if it ever breaks, federal government breaks down and say, well, we're going to legalize marijuana permanently, our neighbors in the north are going to cash it out. You can bet it. They're going to cash out. They're going to say, let's ship it all to the states. We need to be the first ones on the jump start. We can be. You got the highway going from here down south. You have the river and major waterway. You have the airport, and you do have rail. This is the time the Sioux could jump into the boat and sail away with the victory. Let's bring the city up instead of being a city that counts on people unemployed and hopefully contractors keeping them working, because you got a lot of depressed people living here in the Sioux. And I know because I've talked to a lot of them because they're not guaranteed work. Let's bring the jobs to the Sioux. This may be a great idea to do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does that conclude everyone that, okay. Thank you all for your comments. Let's go to Commissioner Talentino.
Thank you, Your Honor. I guess just a couple questions that I have and a few things I guess I don't quite understand is back Monday, December 17th of 2018, it was brought up the motion to refer medical marijuana facilities licensing research to administration to review the state law, monitor rules, research peer communities, best practices with a report due back to the commission no later than December 6th of this year, which is coming up here shortly. So I guess I'm not quite sure why this actually got thrown on now, and just probably why it can't wait till that, because we do have a report coming from city administration. Is it a great idea? Yeah, I think it's a great idea. You know, I think we should be looking into this, but I guess I just don't quite understand the timing on this. You know, I mean, that being said, I'll yield the floor, but I will make a motion if it comes back around to me on this, but I'll yield the floor for some other questions.
Commissioner Gary.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, because I'm the one that brought it to the commission on December 17th, so, and I think it was the intent of the commission to do exactly what we're talking about tonight, which was to research it and to find out what we need to do as far as zoning and everything else. And as Commissioner Talentino said, it's all covered in the motion. I made the initial motion and was very careful to make sure that it was all-inclusive so that we would be able to look at what it would take as a community to go forward and to look at this. And I think it was even before LSSU had announced the new program in cannabis too. And if I may, I have the original notes from that meeting, but I'm not going to go over those because I bored you. But if I may just talk about a couple of things.
Okay.
On March 19th of this year, several of us went to the MML Legislative Conference in Lansing, and we were able to, and I think a couple of us were able to go to a recreational marijuana seminar that was put on by Andrew Brisboe, who at that time was the director of a different agency, and it was working on the rules, working on the rules for the adult use marijuana, which they've changed the name now. And then on June 6th, I was able to go to an MML Education Summit in Escanaba, and one of the topics was marijuana, and we had a presentation from Chris Johnson, who we all know is our general counsel for Michigan Municipal League, and he talked about it, and he calls it the Attorney Employment Act, kind of jokingly, and he talked about some of the changes and some of the legislation that's coming through. And then in August, also had an opportunity to go to the Michigan Economic Developers Association, and again, Andrew Brisboe was there. Laura Riley, who is an attorney that specializes in the new marijuana legislation, and then Jennifer Rigtenick from Michigan Municipal League, and they did a panel on what are the new laws going to look like, what should municipalities do, and they were talked about why communities opt out. You know, over 500 communities have opted out temporarily to make sure that the rules are put into place. And they talked about the impact on the communities. And Jeff Holt was there from our EDC, so he was able to gain information on this information. And then last week, October 15th, at Lake Superior State University, Andrew Brisboe was there, and I congratulate Lake State for having them there. And they talked about marijuana regulation in Michigan, and I don't know if you three were there. I hope you were there. It was a great presentation. And myself from the commission and Kelly Freeman and Steve Aikinen were there, so I know they were gaining information that we have asked them to do in exploring this possibility. And Andrew Risbo spoke, and he's the executive director of what is now the Michigan Marijuana Regulatory Agency, and he said that is the third change in titles he's had since he began his quest. And that is a recent appointment by Governor Whitmer. So it's a very fluid situation. But I just wanted to go over some of the points that he made that I thought were very interesting. He talked about how the industry can evolve and protect citizens, and he also knows that his agency needs to stimulate business growth and preserve the consumer access to marijuana, but his number one job is to protect the public. And that includes the public that are using marijuana and want to use marijuana, both medicinal and recreational use, but also the people that are not. So we have to be stewards of both sides. He talked about the different testing and standards of enforcement that are not really readily done yet. He talked about the new emergency rules that they have published and are not valid yet, so they can't take applications for public use facilities yet. But they're coming, and they are temporary, and they will expire. He talked about the banking system, and they're not there yet, but he thinks that the federal government and the state government are getting to places where there's something called the SAFE Act that the federal government is bantering around, and it may free up opportunities for owners of facilities to do their banking and to be safer in the environment. And he also said the new rules, so the emergency rules are in place, they're good for 6 months, and then they will expire. But he right now is working on new rules, and he's going to combine both the medicinal rules and the adult use rules into one, and he thinks that he will probably have that draft ready in January or February, and then it has to go out for public comment, and he was hopeful that they'll have a May rollout of the new rules, which will be a different variation of what is out there now. And so he also mentioned that it's a highly politicized topic, and we see that every time we talk about it. And he hopes that that will slow a little bit, because he's a very enthusiastic guy. And I'll tell you what, if you're going to have somebody in charge of any type of new agency and a new regulation, this guy is it, because he's an encyclopedic person. I've seen him. And then we had an opportunity to talk to him personally, Kelly Freeman and Steve Aiken and I, after the meeting. So it was very productive and good. I'm really glad that I was able to go. So we talked to him about the opt-out and why communities are opting out, and had a little bit of discussion there. So I agree, I think, with everything. I think that our original motion to have the information brought to us December 6th, or 17th, or what is the date? December 6th is exactly what Commissioner Baker's looking for. So, but I would ask, I guess, the city manager, if, given the separation we had and he's brand new, would that be an achievable time frame for you to have some deliverables to us to let us know what, bless you.
Pleasure.
I mean, what we would have to look at?
Yeah, I think we can do it. December
Okay.
6th, I think it's doable.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, let's go to Commissioner Tuarte. and we'll come
Thank
back.
you. Every time I think I bring information forward, and Don Gary speaks before me, I might as well just throw my papers away, because he's covered it all. But I do agree that this is an industry that is here, and it is coming, and we just need to be prepared for it and make sure that we have it zoned and regulated right before, and especially waiting for the state to set down their guidelines so that we can follow that. But I'm looking forward to the presentation on December 6th, and I think that after that, once they present to us, we can then tweak it. We can decide if we want more information moving forward, however way we would like to go. But I think that right now, just being patient and looking forward to that presentation. I do not want to allow our community to be in the background with this. I want us to also, like I said, the industry is coming. We need to be able to accept it with open arms just because of the cannabis program that's helping, or that's going on up at Lake Superior State University. And I don't want to see the city of Sault Ste. Marie lose out on anything, especially revenue. If there is gonna be any revenue, that's still yet to be seen, with all of the research and litigation and, if there is revenue down the road, I want the city to be able to take part in that. So I'm looking forward to the presentation, and other than that, I don't have any details to give because Don covered them all.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Collins?
Does the original resolution that, let me turn on my mic, sorry. Does the original resolution that we're referring to talk about zoning of the marijuana, grow facilities and so forth? And the reason I'm bringing that up is that if December 6th was supposed to be the date that they come back to us, I'd like to hear where they are as far as their ideas, as far as, you know, if we're gonna have testing facilities, where's the best place to do it? If we're gonna have growing facilities, where's the best place to do it? As an industrial park? And then also, is zoning the best place to do it? Because when we have zoning and it goes to the zoning board, then you have mixed use and variances. So how do you make sure that we're gonna make sure that we have these facilities where we need them to be? So has there been anything done on, I mean, since this motion was passed, or this resolution, has there been anything done on just this aspect of it? Does anybody know the answer?
City manager? Push.
Sorry. I don't know specifically. Do you have any idea, Deputy Manager?
It's been monitored by the city attorney, by the planning and zoning, Kelly Freeman. They are keeping up on where the state is, and they are working on that report to come back to the city commission in December.
Okay, the reason I asked that question is I've actually had a conversation with some of those individuals, and basically the comment that I got is we're waiting for the direction from the commission to tell us to work on that specific area. So what I would like to see from this, and I understand, you know, looking as far as moving forward as far as whether we opt in this or not, we need to make sure that we have at least our ducks in a row from a standpoint of where these facilities are gonna go. And I was thinking about this over the weekend, and even though the state of Michigan, we basically opted in to legalize marijuana, and we know that the majority of people in Chippewa County voted for that. Does this mean that they actually really want retail sales of marijuana in Sault Ste. Marie city limits? So, and I don't know if anybody knows the answer to that, but it was something I was actually thinking about, because when I talk to the public about this, it's a 50-50 split typically, right? But that's separate from growing the marijuana, or transporting the marijuana, or even testing the marijuana. So, I guess, is there any way to find out really what the public in Sault Ste. Marie feels about having legalized marijuana retail shops in Sault Ste. Marie? And what I mean by that is, obviously, we don't want to put it out for a vote, but is there some sort of a survey or something that we can get? Because I don't think that we have those numbers right now. We know that it was opted in to actually allow recreational use, but does the average citizen that actually voted for that understand that that also opened up these doors? And is that what our city residents really want? But again, that's separate, so that's a separate entity from actually a grow facility, right? If you think of like the industrial park that we have and the empty buildings that are there, you could actually they could actually put the grow facilities in there. That wouldn't affect anybody from a retail standpoint. It would create jobs. They use, I don't know, crazy amounts of water, like 3,000 gallons a month or something. So obviously, higher use, lower water rates. My point is that, is there something that we can do to just basically get administration to work specifically on this area? Because my concern is that if we do go down the path of having retail shops or these type of facilities, where are they gonna be, right? Do we really want to have them on Ashland Street, or do we want them on Portage? Or should they be on a different section of town, right? And then does that, once you have it in place and it's a zoning issue, then you can get a zoning variance, right? Do I have to yield, or can I just tell Donnie can talk?
When you're done.
Okay. So basically, in the end, that's kind of where I'm at with this, is that I'd really like to know if anybody has any numbers that show that citizens in Sault Ste. Marie really want to have retail, because that seems to be the issue. None of the other things we're looking at, testing facilities, growing it and so forth, it comes down to where are the retail and is it really retail that we want? Is there a way for us to find out inexpensively if that's really what the citizens want? City manager.
We could probably do an online poll or a survey. It'd be unscientific in terms of reliability, but it is an option, so we can put something online, put all the facilities out there and get the feedback that way.
Excuse me, this is commission talking? Thanks. Okay, you done?
I don't know,
Are you-
he's not.
City
The only
manager?
thing about the survey, even if we're to use the university, it may not be ready by the December 6th report. It could be, but it just depends on the response rate that we would get within that certain amount of time. So we could do something, certainly. Probably online would be your best option.
Okay,
Okay,
for now, thanks.
okay, thank you. Commissioner Baker?
Okay, I put this before you because what we decided back on the 17th was not specific. It was a general overview of administration to review and to monitor what the state was doing. This agenda item has zero to do with what the state is doing. This agenda item has to do with us as a city researching zoning for the three, the growing, the transportation, and the testing, which were also not specifically mentioned in that agenda action item. So moving forward, I would like to know where our planning department, if we do decide to opt in, thinks that where should we put it? That's all I'm asking. So I would like to make a motion to refer it back to city commission, or the city administration and the planning department to review zoning and planning for the marijuana grow ops, transportation, and marijuana testing facilities to determine whether to get some feedback. I don't believe what we requested in December is specific like this, and this is where we need to be, the direction we need to go with this.
Okay. Commissioner Gary?
Is that a motion?
Yes?
Support?
I just wanted to mention, and I don't have a
Discussion?
problem with that because that was actually included in the original discussion. It has really everything to do with the motion that we passed. Because if you look at the text of it, and I can go over some of the information that I had covered at that 12/17 meeting, we did talk about the different responsibilities in the different centers. We talked about planning, we talked about zoning, we talked about the police department, we talked about fire department, we talked about finance, building department, and all the different areas. And it was the intent of that initial motion to make sure that we do review the state law. And the state law is what encompasses the zoning and everything that you're asking about, because I've read through the new emergency rules, and they do talk about the zoning. It's all referenced inside of that, so that's why I wanted the city administration to do that, because I think we have to look at it in its totality, rather than dissecting a piece of it, because we can dissect a piece of it and spend a lot of time focusing on that, and it's not going to give us the picture that we want. So I don't have a problem with adding it, to the original plan, because that was part of the original plan anyway. But I don't think we should focus solely on this part. I think we need to keep with the direction that we gave the commission, or the administration on December 6th, so we get the whole picture. And at that point, then we can talk specifically and individually about the zoning and some of the different areas. And to answer your question, certainly if we're passing any type of new ordinances, we will have public input sessions. That's a requirement. So.
Let's go to Commissioner Talentino.
Thank you, Your Honor. Like I said, I really don't have a big problem with this. I mean, I think what I am having a problem with now is we're adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more things to that plan that we want to come back on the 6th. I think at a minimum, we have a city manager that just got here less than 2 weeks ago. He should have to at least the first commission meeting in January to go over this. Because we got the holidays coming up, from Christmas to Thanksgiving, there's a lot going on. So you asked a lot of questions, and he himself just said that, hey, you know, if we're gonna do this survey to check it out, we won't have it in time.
In time for what?
Or December 6th date. So your motion, I think, is fine, but we need to let this roll at least out till the first week of January to give them adequate time. We don't need to be micromanaging our administration at this point, okay?
Commissioner Baker?
I don't believe we're micromanaging, especially if this was voted on back last December. And even though the city manager is just getting here, this is done by the planning department, who has been here the entire time. So realistically, our planning department should have already been looking at this. So again, I just made a motion to move forward with these specific 3 entities.
Commissioner Miller, do you have a comment?
I have a whole lot of comments, Your Honor. I don't know why we're talking about this tonight. Can someone read me the original motion from almost a year ago? Do you have the original motion? I mean, this,
Deputy City Manager Troyer?
The motion from Monday, December 17th, 2018, it was moved by Commissioner Gary, supported by, I believe, Commissioner Baker. It was a motion to refer medical marijuana facility licensing research to city administration to review state law, monitor rules, research peer communities' best practice with a report due to the commission no later than January 6, 2019, and provide quarterly updates to the commission via city manager updates to monitor progress. And it was unanimously carried by the commission.
do I still have the floor, Your Honor?
Yes.
So this was December 18th of last year? Is that what it was?
December 17 of 2018, yes.
Of 2018. And we were supposed to get, what, quarterly reports? I mean, we didn't have, I'm sorry, Robin, we didn't have a city manager for a long time, so I mean, you did the best you could, but we haven't had any updates or any quarterly reports for any of this. So this is supposed to go until December 6th of this year, correct?
December 6th of 2019, a report was coming back to the commission, and former city manager Oliver Turner did provide an update to the commission prior to his departure.
Okay. So, and the motion was made by Commissioner Gary, and it was seconded by Commissioner Baker,
Correct,
and it was unanimous.
correct.
And now for some reason, we're talking about it tonight. I don't understand. It's not December 6th yet. I don't understand why we're talking about it tonight. I haven't had any updates. Anybody else had any updates? I haven't.
Just the one.
I-
One or two before Oliver left.
I found it odd we're talking
Yeah.
about it tonight,
Okay.
a couple weeks before, you know, what's coming up.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think Commissioner Baker first.
Yes, and as you can hear from what the what Ms. Troyer said, it was referred for medical marijuana. This is for marijuana grow operations, and this is not just talking medical, this is recreation. Because that's what's coming. That motion was specifically for medical, correct me if I'm wrong,
I
is
don't think
it
so.
not just medical?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, wait, sorry.
My understanding, well, go ahead. Would you
It was a
read the
motion to
motion?
refer medical marijuana
Oh.
facilities licensing research to city administration.
So, within that time, we've only gotten one update from Oliver before he left. This is not about medical, this is about marijuana operations, marijuana transportation, and marijuana testing facilities. And we are talking about this today because other communities are opting in, and we have a university now that we didn't know at the time when we made that motion was going to implement a program, and now we do. So it is our duty, in my opinion, to look at this and refer it back to the planning department to determine planning and zoning for those following 3. That is all.
Okay, understand. Thank you. Commissioner Collins? Yeah, yep, there is.
So it's interesting to me that that this is even really an issue, because we're not talking about, at least in my opinion, we're not talking about having them come back December 6th with an answer. We're just saying that we would like the commission to give the planning department some direction as far as to start working on this. When you look at that original resolution, it refers to medical marijuana, has nothing to do with these. It talks about researching and licensing. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what is it that we have to do as a city if the licensing and those things are actually in line and we want to opt in. Are we ready with our zoning and planning to actually implement and know where these facilities can go? So to me, it's just a matter of, and I don't care that if it's a December 6th or a March 6th, right? I just want to make sure that we have something in place in reference to planning and zoning for these facilities before we opt in, if that's what we choose to do. So I don't know if on the resolution, or I mean with the motion, do we have to have, were you referenced to December 6th, or?
I am not in reference to December 6th. I am referencing to give the planning department direction and for them to come back with a report before May, when the state has their stuff together.
And just,
I mean, just so we have a plan in place, because if we wait till May, or if we wait till January 6th, in that motion, the reason why I brought this before, because it was all about medical. That had nothing to do with what I put on today. It didn't specify testing facilities, it did not specify transportation. So that's why I put it on for today. If we wait, and then May comes along, and then we start this process, we will be behind, and we will be riding coattails. So let's do our due diligence, let's put it in the hands of our city administration and the planning department, and have them come back with a report when they are done with it, and then we go from there.
I still have the floor, actually.
Okay, thank you. And I haven't said anything yet, so let me just make a comment.
Can I just finish, because I
I
have
thought you were
one.
done.
No, she actually talked in my time. I was
Go ahead.
done. Thank you, sir. So it's interesting, because when I had this conversation with the zoning department, the question that we had, or that we kind of came up with, is it better to, if you do it through zoning or ordinance? So to me, it's just a matter of what, like, if we're going to do it, is it a zoning issue or is it an ordinance issue? I just don't know why this is a big issue for anybody to say, yeah, let's do our research and let's make sure that we're moving in the right direction. We haven't had a report on this yet. Nothing's been done on it. It's not in any resolution. So I don't see why any commissioner would be opposed to saying, yeah, let's give them some direction for them to work on this so that we have at least something to start it.
Thank you. Thank you for the comments, and I thought the motion back was on total marijuana and on medical marijuana, so it makes some sense that we be ready, because we all agree that it's gonna be coming. City wants to be ready. I don't think the commission at this point has a problem with no dates, just get information. Our city manager comes from a community that presently has the marijuana going on in the community, in Vassar, so I have no problem with the motion myself, so. The motion supported is Commissioner Tuarte.
I just wanted to make one more comment, because we are kind of like splitting hairs here. According to the MML recreational marijuana Q and answer handbook, the MRTMA and the MMFLA licensing, regulations, zoning, and ordinances are the same.
Does it say zoning in that?
So that's why I'm saying that if they were to bring back a report on December 6th, we might find out that whatever they would bring back would mimic both.
But it specifically at this point says, it gives the
It's like splitting
planning
hairs.
commission, it gives the planning commission some additional direction, which is not a bad thing, is all we're saying, so. Moving on, Commissioner Miller, you have your hand up.
Yep, I just want to say that I want to wait until the report on December 6th before anything else. I want to hear what happens on December 6th.
Okay. And just a comment that it really doesn't matter if it's the 6th or the 12th, or the information's going to come, so this is just an additional motion, so, in my mind. So we have a motion and support. Let's do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Gary?
Yep.
Commissioner Miller?
No.
Commissioner Talentino?
Yep.
Commissioner Tuarty?
Yep.
Mayor Basmus?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you, and thank you for your input. Okay,
Item 2 under Communications is from the Downtown Development Authority, request to amend grant budget for 411 West Portage Avenue.
okay, thank you. And at this item being 411 West Portage Avenue, I have some responsibility with that program, or with that project, so I would ask the city attorney, I've been abstaining on these, should I continue?
As a person with responsibility over the project and as a city commissioner, you cannot act as a city commissioner in the approval of change orders.
Okay, so I will abstain. Okay, thanks. Commissioner Gary? Mayor Pro Tem, you're on.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. For commission consideration is a request from the DDA to amend grant budget for 411 West Portage Avenue. DDA Director Nepper is here to ask any questions, if you want to come up and, just in case there's any questions. Otherwise, we look for a motion to approve.
Thank you, City Manager. Mr. Nepper, do you have any input?
There is no financial impact for the city other than we do pay, we are currently covering the state's portion of their funds, and then they reimburse us. So there's a little bit of outlay, but the project had major, well, you can see if you go down West Portage, it's really a night and day transformation. I was going to share some pictures, but I thought I'd wait until the last. We're at 90% with each project, so in another month or two, I'll bring some pictures to the commission. But the roof was completely destroyed and way worse than anticipated, and that ate up about an extra $80,000 that was not anticipated. So the state of Michigan, or the MEDC, did give us authorization for this grant amendment to increase the total budget. All we need is approval for the finance director to change our capital project.
Thank you, DDA Director Nepper. It certainly is quite a transformation. It's a beautiful building, so do we have a motion? Commissioner Tuarty.
Yeah. First, I'd just like to disclose that McClellan Properties is my landlord, not in this building, but in a different building. So I do rent from her, but I do not work for her. I'd like to make a motion to amend the grant budget for the downtown facade project grant specific to the project at 411 West Portage Avenue, owned by the McClellan Realty, by $35,230 for both the property owner match and the CDBG grant.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuarty?
Yes.
Mayor Basmus? Oops, sorry, abstain. Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes. Motion passed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Gary, and now we're on to item number 3.
Item 3 under the communications is from the U.S. Census, presentation and question and answer on 2020 U.S. Census.
Okay, thank you. City Manager, we got Nathan Michaels.
Hello, Commission. My name is Nathan Michaels. I work with the U.S. Census Bureau, represent Chippewa County and the city of Sault Ste. Marie. Just want to take a moment to thank you for hearing me. The census is a big product of how we create data so that funding and opportunities for the people can happen. I'm not going to go through the full presentation. If you do want the full presentation, you email me and I'll fill your inbox.
Thank you.
So just want to take a time. This is the regional director, Marilyn Sanders. She's out of Chicago. She does want to thank you for taking time to be a part of the census and know that the census is coming in April 2020. We're part of the Midwest region. Here you can see all the different states that are in that region. We're working together to get a complete count so everyone can be counted. Part of the census is this Constitution mandate that happens every 10 years, and this affects much of the apportionment for representation, as well as there's $675 billion annually distributed. So the Michigan Nonprofit Association talked about every person not counted is about $1,200 lost in different public funding. So My role in the U.S. Census, as well as representing the county and the cities, to make sure that we have an adequate count and that people are informed that the census is an important aspect of their community and their opportunities. So we go through a couple different ways to design the census and access the information. We're in this process now. We're trying to motivate people. So we're in number 2 right now. So hopefully you feel motivated. We are using more technology this year. People can report online or over the phone or in the mail. And so we're trying to get everyone informed about this. With the increase in technology, there are a lot of different new hoops that we have to run, but there is a great security measure being created so that the census can be secure. We want everyone's information to be secure in the right place. So also, we have a lot of jobs. Currently, Chippewa County has 234 jobs available. These are people who want to go door to door to do follow-up or just want to do some recruiting. So there are a lot of different jobs available for the people. Get people informed that there are jobs for that. So we'll be doing with that. Even tomorrow, I'll be doing a recruiting presentation and getting people signed up for jobs at the Bayless Library. So that's part of the recruitment process. And starting mid-March, going through July, we'll be starting that process where we send out the different mailings to get people to report. And the goal of part of this census process and my role is to make sure that every government, municipal organization, and different community members can all be informed that the census is coming. We believe that the people face-to-face are the best people to inform what the census has and what it has to offer. We're going to kind of go through this. I have also created a complete count committee. This is so that people on the grounds are informing people. Putting a face to a name reduces some of the skepticism that people might have in filling out something to the government. Sometimes people have skepticism from the government. So just trying to make sure that we can put a face to name, and we're creating a team of individuals that can inform people and educate about the census. So we actually will be doing this. One of the first committee meetings happens tomorrow also at the Bayless Library. So we have some people showing up for that as well. You can see some of the objectives of the committee: to help monitor, to provide resources, and to train and support. You yourself could be part of another committee if you feel like you'd want to do that. Okay? So that's kind of going through some of that. Knowing that Sault Ste. Marie does have a higher percentage of low response rate based on previous censuses. That means that we're not getting appropriate funding, or that not everyone who has an address is actually filling out the census. So my role and my encouragement for the people of Sault Ste. Marie is to make sure that we are informing people that the census does matter, and that funding does matter, and that information that we create through the census happens. So this has all the census goes to addresses, not to P.O. boxes. So we're going to be sending things in the mail to each address. So that's how we collect the data, based on each address. This is some of the tools that we use to access how people have responded. I don't have the Sault Ste. Marie map up here, but you can see that 2 neighborhoods, 2 tracts of Sault Ste. Marie area do have a low response area. And so I'll be working with those 2 communities to make sure that they're informed to advocate for people. So one of those mapping tools is called Roam. Oh, here it is. Here's the map of Sault Ste. Marie. You can see the 2 turquoise sections have a lower response rate. There's about 5 or 7 different tracks in the whole UP. And so the Sault Ste. Marie is part of my charge to make sure that we can increase that number. This is some more data about those things. Next steps would just be an advocate yourself. Know that the census is coming. Know that people should be informed that the census is coming. And if people want to reach out to me to get any more information, or if I can meet with any of you to help make sure the community knows that the census is coming and that it's a big part of our community, you can do that. So Marilyn Sanders likes to share this quote. "We understand the plan is only as good as those who are put in the game to mobilize the plan. Just like a football team where everyone has to know their role, these plans will help us truly function as a team, with the ultimate goal to count everyone once and only once and in the right place in all the regions." So thank you for letting me take some time. Hopefully that was not too harmful. And if anyone does have any questions, I can monitor that now or after the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nathan. Certainly, anyone have any questions of Nathan? Commissioner Gary?
Not a question, but a comment, and I know it's been a part of the recent commissioner forums. This is one of the questions, and you did a great job on that presentation.
Yeah.
And it's important, not just in the political districting, but I work for a federal agency, and all of our grants, percentages, the amount of funding we get is all based on census. So if you don't have complete information, you're not getting the complete package of money that you are entitled to. So it's so important, and it is completely confidential, and you can trust that the federal government will keep it private. So it's just critical, and I can't believe it's come around again. It seems like 2010 was yesterday.
Yeah. I was saying to the city manager, too, that maybe in the January, coming up to the census coming out, just reminding folks to take the time to fill them out, because you're only talking probably, what, 12, 14, 15 minutes?
Yeah,
To
that's
fill
it.
out an application?
Yep.
Not even that, probably, so,
Depending on how fast your internet is.
yeah. Yeah, so it doesn't take much. Anyone else?
Thank you.
very much, Nathan.
Thank you.
Okay, item G, the city manager's report.
Okay.
You too. Yeah, that's you.
I don't know if you still read it out loud or not. Okay.
No.
I apologize. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For commission consideration is a request from the police department to update the current city code 24-55. This particular ordinance regulates the process for issuing parking violations. This is part of a bigger effort to try to streamline and make the process more administratively friendly. Currently, the process is a ticket is issued, and if it's not paid for in a certain amount of time, a warrant is issued for that violation. The chances of the warrant being served or enacted on is very low, especially if the person is an out-of-towner. There's also an administrative burden of, let's say, somebody from Flint was up here, they got a ticket, there was a warrant for them, they went back home, a Flint officer picked them up. We would have to send an officer or two to go pick up that person. So it's a lot of work for not a lot of money. So the bigger picture is to streamline this process, update the ordinance, and contract with the collection agency to go after the people and get the money that way. There is a added fee that will be on this process, and we'll bring that to the commission next meeting to update that as well in the fee schedule. So tonight, we would look for a motion to approve the first reading and to schedule the second reading for November 4th, 2019.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to approve the first reading of an ordinance to amend section 24-55, issuance of parking violations, and schedule a second reading for the November 4th, 2019 City Commission meeting.
Support.
It's been supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Talentino?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. That completes the city manager's report. So now we're into the status reports. City manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight, we have Dan Weingarten and Mike Lusk here to answer some questions. You guys want to come up, answer any questions the commission may have, or provide an update regarding the I-75 Business Spur project.
Well, good evening.
Evening.
My name is Mike Lusk. I'm our construction engineer out of the Newberry MDOT office.
I'm Dan Weingarten. I'm the communications representative for MDOT out of the Escanaba Region Office.
Okay.
So Deputy City Manager asked us to come and give us a brief update, and actually asked us about 3 or 4 weeks ago, but I was unavailable at that time, so I do apologize for that. Things obviously since then probably look a lot better. I don't see any torches or pitchforks in the crowd, so we must be doing, oh, very sorry. We must be doing a little bit better. The schedule for finishing work yet this year, as most of you may have seen probably today, yesterday, the majority of the paving is complete. We do have quite a few side streets yet to pave. I'm estimating about 2 or 3 days worth yet of paving to be done. Our expected completion date is still November 15th of this year for major items of road work. What that means that everything would be open to traffic, everything paved, all the lines painted, signs up, barrels removed, basically all major restrictions removed from the highway. I was asked to go over what might not be done this year yet, and that would include aesthetic items such as like turf establishment, tree plantings, things of those nature. Other things would be like some minor work at intersections, cleanup work. And that's kind of I mean, we're almost to the end, which is a good thing. I know everybody's ready for it to be over. I know everybody's ready for it to be over. When questions do come in, I'm the last person in line to field phone calls, and there's been a lot of them recently. So I don't know if you folks have any
Sure,
general
just
questions?
Just comment, we'll be happy to see the project complete, I'm sure you will, but,
yes.
living with the project and certainly the businesses on the business for, 2 years of interruption for the most part, and, the kind of weather that we've had in the spring and the fall, and then have the winter that we had last year, ultimately, we got through the winter pretty well, even without a thaw, but the amount of water laying in areas was pretty extensive. I guess that there was one bad spot I talked to you earlier about the roundabout.
Yeah, there was a question that had been brought up about some water settling or water ponding within the limits of the roundabout. And it was a smaller area, but we are addressing that. We have a fix in mind, and that involves creating a small leaching basin and having a small curb cut. Very non-invasive fix, small dollar amount. And I think that's going to work. The alternative was to open cut the roadway and trying to tie into existing storm sewer.
Okay, questions? Can we have, Linda have any questions? Is she? Linda, do you have any questions or comments or concerns that you've seen? I want to put you on the spot, but as I know it's not our project for the most part, but we live here and we have to answer to the folks because they know how to get a hold of the elected officials for the most part. And certainly we know how to get a hold of them to our staff, but the MDOT project, it's a big project and a lot of traffic. I mean, that's the center of the community as far as the amount of traffic every day.
For as in MDOT, the Newberry TSC area, we cover 5 counties. And this is the largest project that I know of to date. I've worked for MDOT since 2003 in the Newberry area. So this is our largest project. There's approximately, give or take, 16,000 vehicles per day on the business spur. And it's definitely been a big impact.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, we'll be happy when the stripes are down and
Well, if you saw them working today, they were out there trying to lay stuff out for striping, so.
Yeah. Good.
Hopefully, when weather does permit, in the next few days, the remaining of the striping will go down.
Okay.
And the paving will come to an end.
Yeah, excellent. Commissioner Twardy?
Yeah, just to comment that when the guys are moving, man, they move fast. Like, I can't get over the amount of ground that they can cover in such a short amount of time. And then I'm really wondering, like, after November 15th, what are people going to talk about in town? I have no idea.
It'll be on Facebook.
But thank you. Thank you for coming.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. That concludes the status reports?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item I, matters presented by the public. Is there anyone in the audience like to make a comment at this time? Okay, thank you all for your attention. Item J, matters presented by the City Commission. Commissioner Baker.
I just wanted to give a shout out, I see him in the audience tonight, for Josh Billington. He works with the SVDC, right? I think I finally got that right after learning all the acronyms. He's been with them for 5 years now, and his numbers have just superseded anything that the SBDC has seen, and I just wanted to congratulate him and thank him for all of his hard work within the community, so I appreciate that. I also wanted to mention Dancing with the Stars and Mary Jo Duvall and Hospice and the dancers, and they raised $125,000 in the 9th year, and when they first started, she made $17,000. So very impressed and proud of our community for coming together like it always does to do great things, and Mary Jo for having the vision to stick it through. And then also thank you to Boo and the Sioux Hockey, and big shout out to the service industry this weekend because it was nuts. And I do believe they're the hardest working people that I've ever worked with. So just good job for hanging in and serving the tourism the way they did this weekend.
Great, thanks. I just wanted to also mention, there were 12 Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League teams in the community this past Monday, Tuesday, Sunday, Wednesday. And with 12 teams, the East Division and the West Division, first time in the Sioux, all Canadian teams other than the Eagles. And they had a round robin. I mean, you're looking at, I don't know how many buses, and the amount of economic impact. And I understand now they've signed the 3. They liked us so much here and were treated really well. They had their games at the Big Bear Arena because of the 2 ice surfaces. And they've signed a 3-year commitment, so we'll have them coming back for 2 more years. And it's just another way of showing the Eagles' impact, and I think we had that here not too long ago in the community when you get the students coming in or the players coming in, staying at homes, and then the amount of games that they play and the visiting teams coming in, playing at the Puller. But this showcase was at the Big Bear, and it's a super facility, and they loved it, and so they'll be back for another 2 more years, so that's just great news, and that was sure successful, and I'd like to comment that they deserve a huge kudo for bringing that here. So, Commissioner Tuarte?
Thank you. Yeah, and that showcase is usually up in Sudbury, so really exciting that we are now get to have that here. Two more things that happened within the community. I want to thank everybody coming out to Community Action Agency's Walk for Warmth.
Yes.
I haven't gotten the official numbers, but I know that it's somewhere close to $30,000 that we now have, and that money goes directly towards Chippewa County families who need help offsetting their heating costs. So it goes for consumables, and then also FAN had their Hogs for Hope. And so that was also a great event. I know that the Dancing Witches were down there, and they're always super entertaining to watch. So thanks to Anna Bonacci-Slater and Farnquist and everybody on that fan board that
Great group.
also did
Yep.
that. Yeah. So
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. And then let's go to Commissioner Collins. Well, we'll go you first, and then we'll go to the Deputy City Manager.
I just wanted to quickly talk about what I kind of brought up earlier. I don't really know the process for talking about it other than when the recreational marijuana was passed at the state level, the conversations that I've had with the public, they didn't realize that that entailed the retail sales of marijuana. So I guess what I would like to do is have us, not tonight, but at some point, somehow get a survey or some kind of a better reading of actually what the citizens of Sault Ste. Marie want from a retail shop perspective of selling marijuana. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but that's really something that I kind of look at and go, do we really know what the citizens want inside the city?
That will have to be a commission action, and you can put it on the agenda anytime, I guess.
Is that how it's done? So it'd be a
Or
commission item?
for it to get anything further than just us thinking about it, it'd have to be a commission action.
Okay.
Yeah, okay? So it'd be, if you want to make an agenda item sometime in the near future, you could do that.
Okay.
Okay? Okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Good, okay. Deputy City Manager?
Is everybody done?
Yeah.
I know it's not my turn, but I'd like to make a few comments if I may.
Sure.
So my time as acting has come to an end, and I wanted to thank the commission for their support and their vote of confidence in my abilities to serve the second time around. Special thanks to Commissioner Talentino and Commissioner Gary, who checked in with me daily to make sure that I was okay, if I needed anything, and was always there for support, so thank you both. I want to give a shout out to Jen Nelson and Erica Gordon in the clerk's office who served here during the interim. They also pitched in, stepped up, and helped out and backed me without question, and I am blessed to work with two very talented, dedicated employees. So I also want to thank the administrative team. Some of them are here tonight. This team pulled together, second time around in a short period of time, to make sure all of the projects and all of the day-to-day operations kept moving. They supported me, whether they were on vacation, whether they were out sick, whatever I needed, they were there, they backed me, they supported me. This team gives of themselves to this community. I would say that this department head team, this administrative team, is hands down the best team that I have served with. I also want to thank the employees who supported me during this time. We have the best group of employees. They are the ones that are getting the job done. They are the ones that are carrying out the goals of the commission. These employees are our greatest assets. We are fortunate to have such talent, skilled, dedicated, hardworking employees. If we want to attract and retain this talent, then we need to appreciate and recognize them for their efforts. So I want to take the opportunity to thank every one of the city employees for what they do day in and day out. It was an honor and a privilege to serve with this team. Finally, Brian, welcome on board. I am happy to have you. Happy to turn it over. And I hope you know how fortunate you are to join this team of dedicated professionals. So, thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Okay, Commissioner Gary.
Wow, well said. And I'll miss you on the radio tomorrow morning. You can come in.
I won't miss that.
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.